we are looking at small, we have cut a small segment here. We are focusing on that segment C prime. So the C section is at a distance x from the left edge, and the length of the segment is dx. So we'll draw the free body diagram for this small segment, and the free body diagram is here. So the left edge is C and the right edge is C prime. So on the there is a distributed load acting on the on this element, and since the size of the segment is very small, we can assume the distributed force to be constant in that in this small segment. So the distributed force is indicated by the Q, and so we can identify the shear and the bending moments on these two faces. So on the left face, according to the convention, the shear force direction will be in the upward direction and bending moment will be in this clockwise way. And on the right face, we have shear in the downward direction and bending moment again will be in the anti-clockwise direction. So we are also seeing how this shear force and bending moment vary as from the left face to the right face. So on the right face, we have given a small increment to the shear force V plus delta V, and the bending moment we are giving a small increment M plus actually it's delta M. You can write dm also. So we want to see what is the change in the shear force, that is what is delta V, and what is the change in the bending moment delta M as we move from this left edge to the right edge, a distance of delta x. So the free body diagram, what we have done, the distributed load, we can make it as a single concentrated load. The magnitude of that concentrated load will be Q times the length of the segment. So Q times delta x, and it will be acting at the center of this element. So the distance from either edges will be delta x by 2. So let's do the force balance in the vertical direction, and we'll get some information regarding the change in delta V, change in the shear force. So let's write the force in the vertical direction. So we have V in the upward direction, and then Q delta x in the downward direction, and minus and V plus delta V in the downward direction. So we have V minus Q delta x minus V plus delta V, which is 0. Okay, so okay, so yeah. So what we'll do here, V and V will cancel out, and delta V we can send to the right hand side, and we will get delta V is equal to minus Q delta x. That means the change in shear force is negative. That means there is a reduction in the shear force as we move from the left edge to the right edge. So when there is a downward distributed load acting, so if you move from the left to the right, there is a drop in the shear force. Okay, so that is what this means. Delta V is equal to minus Q delta x. You can write this in the differential form. So the differential form is you just send the delta x to the left hand side. It will be in the denominator, and then we will take the limit delta x tends to 0. So we will get dV by dx, and that is equal to minus Q. So what it means is the slope of the shear force diagram. So if you take will be equal to the applied distributed load. So suppose this is a shear force diagram. For this problem, the shear force diagram will be something like this. So if you take the this is a shear force diagram. At any point, you take the slope. So here the slope dV by dx we can get, and this slope will be equal to the minus Q of x, or minus of dV by dx will be equal to Q. Okay, so here Q is acting downward, and so minus this slope is actually negative. So minus of dV by dx will be Q of x. So it will be positive quantity Q of x. So the slope at any point, the shear force diagram will give the corresponding distributed load acting at that point. So we can write this differential form in an integral form also. So what we will do, this delta V will integrate from some section C to section D. So what will be the change in shear force as we move from section C to section D? So we will do this integral C to D dV, and here what will happen is minus we have to do the integration from C to D Q dx. So we'll get shear force at D minus shear force at C is equal to minus integral C to D Q dx. So what it means is if you take that beam cross section, this is section C and this is section D. So on the left side, the shear force VC will be acting upward, and shear on the right side, the shear force VD will be acting downward. And there is this distributed load acting in this part of the beam. So what we can calculate the area under this distributed load, and the value of VD will be VC minus this distributed load, or you can write VD minus VC is equal to minus area under this distributed load. So that is what. So what will happen here? Shear force will be VC, and here there will be a reduction in shear force. That reduction is equal to the area under this distributed load. Okay. So these are the two relations. One is du by dx is equal to minus q, which is a differential form, and vd minus vc is equal to minus integral q dx, that is an integral form. So let's look at these two relationships from the example we did yesterday. So yesterday we were looking at that simply supported beam, and we have reactions p by 2 and p by 2, and then we can draw the shear force that was constant between these two segments, and that was p by 2, and between these two points it was minus p by 2. So here the distributed load Q is 0. Only there is a concentrated load between A to C, Q is 0, and also from C to B, Q is 0. So when we say Q is 0, that means dV by dx is 0. So we are getting a horizontal line. So that for the horizontal line, the slope will be 0. So at either this segment or this segment, the slope of the shear force diagram is 0. Yeah, so this is regarding the equation, that relation between shear force and the distributed load, or the applied load at that point, applied distributed load at that point. So now we'll look at the moment. What is a change in moment because of this applied distributed load? We have already done delta V. Now we'll look into what will happen to delta M. So what we'll do at section, we'll apply the moment about section C. So we will apply moment equilibrium about section C. So what will happen is this shear force will be acting on that section, so it will not contribute any moment to this, and remaining contributions will be this shear force V plus delta V. There is contribution M plus delta M. There is this moment M, and distributed load will also produce some moment about this section. So that we are writing it here. So first thing is M plus delta M, it will be acting in the anti-clockwise direction. So it will be plus M plus delta M, and here M is acting in the clockwise, so it is minus M, and then V plus delta V into the moment term, which is delta X. So this will act in the clockwise direction. So we are writing minus V plus delta V times delta X, and then we have this distributed load, which is we are treating it as a concentrated load acting at the center. So this will produce again anti-clockwise movement. So Q delta X into delta X by 2 about this section C. So that we have minus Q delta X into delta X by 2. So what we can do, we can cancel out this M and M term, and we are left with delta M, and we have minus V delta X minus delta V delta X minus Q delta X square by 2. So here delta V and delta X are second order terms. So those two constitute the second order terms. So if it is some 10 power minus 6 value, this will be 10 power minus 6, the product will be 10 power minus 12. So this term can be neglected when you compare with these terms, first order terms, delta X or delta M. Similarly, Q delta X square by 2 is again a second order term. Delta X itself is very small quantity, and if you square it, it will be negligible. So again, this term can be neglected. So we are left with only the first two terms. Delta M is equal to minus delta V delta X is 0. So we can send V delta X to the right hand side. So we'll get delta M is equal to V delta X. That is, the change in moment is equal to the shear force times the distance, the length of the segment. We can write this in the differential form. We can send dx to the left hand side and then take the limit delta x tends to 0. So we get dm by dx is equal to v. So here dm by dx is the slope of the bending moment, and the slope of the bending moment is equal to shear force. So we can write this, this is a differential form. We can write it in an integral form. So when you do the integral form, we'll integrate from section C to section D. So integral delta m C to D will be md minus mc, and v delta x will be the area under the shear force, C to D v dx. Okay, so this is the change in bending moment between section C and section D is equal to the area under the shear force diagram. between those two sections. So let's apply these two relationships. Let's look at these two relationships through an example. So what we have again, we look at the simply supported beam with the point load acting as the center. So this was the example we are looking at. So we had our shear force distribution plus P by 2 between A to C and minus P by 2 between C to B. Now we had done the calculation for bending moment diagram. We had got some relation like this, Px by 2 between A to C, P by 2 into L minus X between C to B. So that plot is shown here, Px by 2 and P by 2 into L minus X. So let's look at the area under the shear force diagram between section A and section C. So this length is, this AC length is L by 2 and the height is P by 2. So the area will be P by 2 into L by 2, which is PL by 4. So MC minus MA should be equal to PL by 4. So here MA is 0. In the bending moment diagram, MA is 0. So at MC, it will be MC minus MA is PL by 4. So MC will be PL by 4. Okay. So this area is equal to this y coordinate at point C. And if you look what is happening here, so we are integrating the area and the shear force to get the change in bending moment. So what will happen if you consider a section in between A and C, then that area is positive quantity. So as the point moves towards C, the area under the shear force diagram will keep increasing. And when it reaches point C, it will reach the maximum value. So that is what is happening. So as we go towards point C, the bending moment will keep increasing. And at C, we are getting the maximum value. And after that, what is happening? We are having a negative shear force. So because there is a negative shear force, the area under the shear force diagram will start reducing. So this is a positive value. And if you consider a section in between C and B, and then that contribution of the area between C to C and that point in between C and B will be negative. So there will be a reduction in the bending moment. As a result, this line will start to move downward direction. Okay, it will start to reduce. The bending moment will start to reduce as we move from C to B because of this negative shear force. And finally, it will go to 0. Okay, so this is regarding the application of the bending moment relationship with shear force. Okay, so what else is there? Yeah. So let's look at this slope of this line. The slope of this line is P by 2, which is equal to the shear force between A to C, and the slope of this line is minus P by 2, which is the shear force between C to B. So dm by dx, is P by 2 between A to C, and it is minus P by 2 between C to B. So it is actually the shear force. P by 2 is shear force between A to C, and minus P by 2 is shear force between C to B. Okay, so yeah, so we have looked at the differential form, and also we have looked at the integral form, where the area under the curve we are relating with the actual bending moment. So with this, we'll go to the next concept of concentrated load. So we have looked at distributed load. Now we'll look at concentrated load acting at a small segment, acting on the small segment. So the concentrated load P is acting downward. So on the left edge we have V and shear force V and bending moment M, and on the right edge, instead of del V, we are replacing the change in shear force as V1. And similarly, for the bending moment, we are replacing the del M with M1. So M1 and V1 represent the change in the bending moment and the shear force. Okay, so we are considering small segment of length delta X. So first step is we are interested in what is the change in this shear force V1. So we'll apply the force equilibrium in the vertical direction. So V is equal to V is acting in the upward direction, that is equal to P plus V plus V1. Okay, so V plus V1 plus P. So what will happen is V will cancel out and V1 is minus P. That means the change in the shear force is negative. Okay, so it's minus P, and or in other words, you can say the shear force reduces by an amount of P. So here it is V, and the shear force here will be V minus P. So there is a reduction in shear force by an amount of P, which is equal to that applied concentrated load. Okay, so please, we'll again look this equation through example. So this is regarding shear force, and what happens to the bending moment? So let's look if there is any change in the bending moment here. So again, we'll apply the moment equilibrium about this section, left section. So this shear force wave will not have any bending moment. However, the remaining the P and V plus V1 will have some bending moments. Will contribute to the moment about this section. So let's look at that. So first we have M plus M1, which is acting in the anti-clockwise direction. So we are writing M plus M1 here. And then this V plus V1 will produce a clockwise movement. So V plus V1 times delta x with a negative sign. So minus V plus V1 delta x. And then P, it will produce again anti-clockwise movement. It will be P times delta x by 2, and again minus P delta x by 2. This M is again acting in the clockwise direction, so we will write minus M. So this is our equation for moment equilibrium. And what we will do, we can cancel out this M and M terms. So we are left with M1. M1 represents a change in the bending moment. So M1 will be V plus V1 delta x plus P delta x by 2. So here what we are doing is we are shrinking this delta x term to a very small negligible value. Delta x is tending to 0. So when you say the delta x is tending to 0, so we can see that the M1 will go to 0. Okay, so that is what we can get from here. So there is a the change in bending moment due to that concentrated load is 0. Okay, so this is another thing we can get. So first thing is, what is the change in shear force? There is a reduction on shear force by an amount P, which is equal to the applied concentrated load, and there is no change in the bending moment. Okay. So although there is no change in the bending moment between this section and this section, one thing is changing. That is the slope of the bending moment diagram. That is changing. So what does it? What does the statement mean? So this is our free body diagram. So here at the left section we have bending slope of the bending. We have shear force V. So we already have that equation between relation between shear force and bending moment. So dm by dx is equal to V. So to the left of this section, we have at the left section we have dm by dx is V. On the right part of the section, we can again use that bending moment shear force relationship. Dm by dx, it will be equal to V minus P. Okay. So here the slope of the bending moment is V, and on the right side, the just to the right of the applied load, the slope of the bending moment is V minus P. So there is a change in the slope of the bending moment diagram as we go from the left of the load to the right of the load as we move towards in this direction. So this is the change is equal to minus P. The change is actually minus P. Okay, so let's look at this concept of concentrated load, and through this again this point load simply supported being subject to point load. So again we have that center, the downward force P acting, and then we have P by 2 reactions. We have the so here what we will do, we already know that the shear force diagram P by 2 and minus P by 2. So P by 2 between A to C and minus P by 2 from C to D. So there is another way to draw the shear force. So this is a very interesting way. So what we will do, so we are at point A. Okay, so let's start from point A. So there, what is the force acting there? There is a reaction acting there. So we will move P by 2 in the upward direction, in the same direction as the reaction. Okay. So we'll move from 0 to 1 by an amount equal to P by 2. That is equal to the applied reaction. So we'll reach point 1. And then from A to C, what is the distributed load acting there? A to C, Q, that there is no distributed load. So Q is 0. That means we have the relationship Q is equal to minus Q is equal to dV by dx. So dV by dx is 0. That means there is no change in the that means slope is 0. That means there is no change in shear force. So between point A to C, there is no change in shear force. So we'll move from point 1 to point 2 along a horizontal line, and that along the horizontal line, and this magnitude is by P by 2. Then once we reach point C, what is happening? We are having a concentrated load acting in the downward direction. So we have the relation. What is the relation we have? what is happening at the concentrated load. Just to the left, the shear force is V, and just to the right, the shear force is V minus P. That means there is a reduction of P in the shear force. Okay, so what it physically means is from this point to we are moving down by an amount of P, which is equal to this arrow. So we're actually moving the direction of the arrow by an amount P. So we'll go to point 3. So what is the ordinate, y coordinate of point 3? So here it is P by 2, and P by 2 minus P, it will be minus P by 2. So the coordinate of y coordinate of point 3 will be minus P by 2. So yeah, so we are reaching the point 3. And from point 3, that is from C, section C, we are moving to the right. So here there is no distributed load. Q is 0. That means slope of the shear force diagram is 0. That means that line will be horizontal. So from section C to B, as we move to the right, the shear force will be maintained. Same shear force minus P by 2 will remain. And then once we go to point B, a reaction is coming. So we'll move by an amount of P by 2 in the upward direction, in the same direction of the reaction. Okay. So this is one way to look at that, draw the shear force diagram. So what we'll do at point A, reaction is P by 2, so we'll move P by 2 upward, and then there's no change in shear force, so we'll go at that constant horizontal, we'll have that same horizontal line. And at C, there's a downward force P acting, so this arrow will move downward by an amount P. So there will be a change in sign from plus P by 2 to minus P by 2 in the shear force. And then from C to B, we are again going in a horizontal way because there is no distributed load between C to B. And then at the reaction B is P by 2, so we are moving in the same direction of the reaction, and we reach this 0.5. Okay, so this is one way to draw the shear force diagram. And yeah, so the basic idea is that we are having this drop in shear force, okay, at location C. So just immediately to the left, it is P by 2, and just immediately to the right of point C, it is minus P by 2, and the drop is by by an amount of P. Okay, so that we have cleared. And now just let's look at this, and this change in slope of bending moment diagram. So we'll again draw the bending moment diagram. So the bending moment diagram we already know Px by 2 and P by 2 into L minus x. So the slope of the bending moment diagram to the left of the point load is P by 2, and slope of the bending moment diagram to the right of the point load is minus P by 2. So what is minus P by 2? It is P by 2 minus P. That means this slope minus P. Okay, so that is what we have here. The change in slope of the bending moment diagram is, here it is V. The slope of the bending moment diagram is V here, and here it is V minus P. So same thing is happening. So here it's P by 2, and to the right of the point load, it will be P by 2 minus P. Okay, so that is the uh, verification of the theory using this simple example. So we will take a break, and I'll take a break, and we'll again look at the couple and beam subjected to to concentrated loads, to a set of concentrated loads. So, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah. So we have discussed about distributed load and the concentrated load. The relationship for these two cases, we found out the change in the bending moment and change in the shear force. So now we look at the couple. Okay. So we have here a beam, simply supported
Excuse
beam.
me, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, did you close your screen?
Are you able to see
The
the
PDF that
not showing up? Huh?
no,
Is it
sir.
showing up or not showing up?
Showing.
Huh? So I will again
It's
share.
showing, sir.
Okay, I'm sharing it
It
again.
is showing there.
Yeah, I'm sharing it one more time so that lag may be there. Okay, so you are able to see the screen now, PDF file.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, so we have a simply supported beam at location C. We have this black color thing. You can imagine it to be a rigid bar. Okay, this black color thing is a rigid bar, and on that rigid bar we are applying we are applying two forces. On the top part of the bar we are applying force to the leftward direction, and in the bottom part of the bar we are applying force in the rightward direction. So these forces are equal and they are opposite, parallel. Okay, so these two will produce a net moment about point C. Okay, so that net moment about point C is the couple. Okay, so the value of that moment is Fd. So we denote that moment as by m naught. At point C, we are applying a couple, and the basic difference between this couple we are using here and in the couple we use in the engineering mechanics is, in the engineering mechanics we are treating the beam AB as rigid. So it doesn't matter whether the couple is acting at point C or couple is acting at point A. It will not affect the anything, like the static equations will not be affected. But in this strength of materials course, the beam is an elastic quantity. Is beam AB is deformable. So the deformation will depend on the location where the couple is applied. So here at point C, we are applying that couple. So our deformation will look something like this. So the point C, that small, there is a rotation. So this part of the beam will bend, will sag, and the remaining to the right of C, it will be hogging. Okay, so this is the shape of the beam AB due to the application of the couple. Now, if you move the couple to some other location, some intermediate point between A and C, then the deflection shape will be different. Okay, so for this elastic, when you treat this body as deformable, the location where you apply the couple is very important. We cannot move throughout the beam AB. If it is fixed to that point C, whatever couple you are applying, it is localized to that point C. Okay, so with this concept, now we'll just look at this analysis for a beam subjected to a couple acting at point C. Point C happens to be the center of beam AB. So we can we can find the reactions at A and B. So for finding the reaction at A, we'll apply moment equilibrium about point B. So this couple will produce a anti-clockwise rotation. So to balance it, we have to apply a clockwise moment, which will come from the reaction, which will act in the upward direction. So that reaction will be m naught by L into L will balance out that m naught. So at A, we have the force m naught by L. And at B, to balance this m naught by L, this will act in the downward direction. So this reaction will be m naught by L in the downward direction at point B. Okay. So what we'll do now, we will look at the section between A and C and find out what is the shear force and what is the bending moment there. And then we will cut a section between C and B and then find out what is the shear force and bending moment there. Okay. So first look at the section between A and C. So here x value will be between 0 to L by 2, and we have cut the section. So at that location we have one shear force. The sign convention will adopt. So we will be shear force will be in the downward direction, and M will be in the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so and then we have that reaction coming here at point A, m naught by L. So we can do the force equilibrium and moment equilibrium. So force equilibrium in the vertical direction will give V is equal to m naught by L, and moment equilibrium, so at about section X, we'll have m naught x by L in the clockwise direction, which will be balanced by m in the anti-clockwise. So the bending moment m will be m naught x by L. Okay, so this is between A and C. Now we will look for the section between C and B. So that section is shown here. So again we have our reaction m naught by L, and at where now the couple will be coming into picture. So at point C we have that couple m naught. So and at the section again we are using the sign convention with shear force will be downward V, and m will be, since it's on the right face, it will be anti-clockwise m. So again we can do our force balance in the vertical direction. There is no change in shear force. V will remain same, m naught by L. And what is the change in the bending moment? So what is the bending moment? So we can find that bending moment by applying moment equilibrium about bending moment equilibrium about point X. So m naught. So what will happen? This m naught is anti-clockwise, and this m is also anti-clockwise. So we can add them up, m plus m naught, and that will be balanced by the reaction moment produced by the reaction. So m naught x by L. Okay. So what we get is the bending moment m is equal to m naught x by L minus m naught. Okay. So what is happening here? Yeah. So we have that bending moment function m naught x by L minus m naught. So when x lies between L by 2 and L, we'll have to plot that equation. So what we'll do with this information, we'll draw the shear force diagram. So between 0 to L by 2, the shear force is m naught by L, and between C to L by 2 to L, it is also m naught by L. So the shear force diagram is positive, and it is a horizontal line, okay, above the axis. So V is equal to m naught by L. So next we'll plot the bending moment diagram. So to plot the bending moment diagram, we will have to combine two equations. So the first equation is m is equal to m naught x by L, and the second equation is m is equal to m naught x by L minus m naught. So first we'll plot the first equation. So m is equal to m naught x by L. So at x is equal to 0, that is at location A, it is 0, and at x is equal to L, we have m naught. So at C, what is the value? It will be m naught by 2. And this equation is valid only between A to C. So the curve here will be this solid line between A to C. Then we want to plot m is equal to m naught x by L minus m naught. So what is happening at x is equal to 0, that is at x is equal to A, it will be minus m naught, and at x is equal to L, that is at B, this value will be 0. And at point C, that is L by 2, m naught by 2 minus m naught, it will be minus m naught by 2. And again this equation is valid between C and B, so we are showing that solid line here. So we can combine these two equations and find the resultant bending moment diagram. So our resultant bending moment diagram will look like this. So it will go, the bending moment will increase from 0 to m naught by 2, and then at m naught by 2 there is a drop to by minus m naught, and it will reach minus m naught by 2, and then again it will keep increasing to and it will reach the B at 0. So this is the bending moment diagram due to the application of that couple. So what you see here, the bending moment is positive between A to C, and it is negative between C to B. So, and also another thing you can see is that the slope, what is the slope? This AC length is L by 2, and this value is m naught by 2. So the slope will be m naught by 2 by L by 2. So it will be m naught by L. Similarly, what is the slope of this line between C to B? Again, it is same thing. It is m naught by L, and it is a positive slope. So the slope of the bending moment diagram is same. It is m naught by L throughout this line AB, and this is consistent with our shear force. The shear force is constant between A to B. So the bending moment, the slope of the bending moment diagram will be equal to the shear force. So it is same between A to B. It is equal to m naught by L. So another thing we can, we are noticing that the bending moment is positive between A to C, and it is negative between C to B. So what does it mean? The positive bending moment means the beam is sagging, and negative bending moment means the beam is hogging. So when it sags, the bottom part is in tension, and when it hogs, the bottom part will be in compression. So that is what is seen physically. So this is the deflected shape of the beam due to the application of the moment. So what is happening between A to C? It is sagging, and according to our sign convention, when the top part of the beam is in compression, that means it is a positive bending moment, and here it is hogging, and the top part is now in tension, that means it is a hogging bending moment, and it is negative. So it is, this bending moment diagram is consistent with the deflected shape of the beam. Okay, so so we have looked at the example for this couple. Now we'll just draw the free body diagram for a small segment just around that point C. Okay, so let's assume this is point C, and at point C we are having that couple M0. So to the left of the section we have our shear force V and bending moment M. To the right we have our shear force V plus V1 and M plus M1. So V1 represents the change in the shear force, and M1 represents the change in the bending moment. So let's see what is the change in shear force and what is the change in bending moment. So here, if you do the force balance, V is equal to V plus V1, that means V1 should be 0. So due to the couple, there is no change in shear force, and that is what we have here also. When you see that example, we see that there is no change in shear force due to the application of the couple. And then we can look at the bending moment. What is the change in bending moment? So we'll do the force we'll do the equilibrium about this. What we'll do? We'll yeah. So we'll do the moment equilibrium about I don't know where. What have I made? Yeah, we can take moment equilibrium about the left section. So we'll have M plus M1 and plus M0, and here we have M. But why is that we are neglecting the bending moment of the shear force? There will be some shear force contribution, right? That will be V times dx. Okay, we are neglecting that. So there is some small inconsistency here. We are missing that V plus V1 term. That is V dx term we are missing here, actually. So it will be V dx plus M is equal to M0 plus M plus M1. Okay, M0 is in anti-clockwise, M plus M1 is also in anti-clockwise direction, and M value is in clockwise, and V plus V1 dx it will be in the it will be in the clockwise direction. So it will be V plus V1 dx plus M. So I don't know why we neglect that V plus V1 dx. Probably because when you shrink that dx to 0, the contribution of V plus V1 dx will go to 0, I think. So yeah. So if you do in that scenario, what will happen is we can cancel out this M and M, and we'll have M1 value is equal to minus M0. What is M1? M1 is a change in the bending moment. So the change in bending moment is minus M0. That means if you go from section just to the left of the couple to the section just to the right of the couple, there is a sudden change in the bending moment. So it will be M, and here it will be M minus M0. So abrupt change in bending moment at the point of application of the couple. So there is a reduction in bending moment by an amount minus by an amount of M0. So if you see here, just to the left of point C, we have M0 by 2, and due to the action of the couple, the bending moment has dropped by M0 in the downward direction. So from a positive value of plus M0 by 2, it has become a negative value of minus M0 by 2. Okay, so that is the abrupt change which is happening in the bending moment due to the application of this couple. Yeah, so this is the effect of couple is that there is no change in the shear force, and there will be a sudden drop, abrupt drop in the bending moment equal to the couple treating the couple direction to be anti-clockwise to be positive. Okay, so this is regarding the couples, and then we'll look at the concentrated loads which are acting on beam, and how to do analysis for the shear force and bending moment. So here we have a beam, simply supported beam, and there are three concentrated loads acting. P1, which is acting at a distance of A1 from left edge, P2, which is acting at a distance of A2 from the left edge, and P3 which is acting at a distance of B3 from the right edge or A3 from the left edge. So we want to draw the shear force for this shear force diagram for this beam. So we'll use that technique. So first thing we'll do, using static equations of equilibrium, we will calculate the reactions Rax, Ray and Rby. So once you find those reactions, then we start from that point. We draw that axis of the beam AB, and then from A, we will denote that A by 0, and then we will move by an amount equal to Ray in the direction of the reaction. So we'll move an amount of Ray. So we'll go to point 1, and from point 1 we are moving to the right here. There is no distributed load, so Q is 0. That means slope of the shear force diagram is 0. So we'll move in a horizontal line, and we'll reach point 2, which will correspond to this point. And here what is happening, there is a concentrated load of P1 acting in the downward direction. So we'll move by an amount of P1 in the downward direction, and we'll reach point 3. And from point 3 to so as you move to the right, there is no distributed load here, so change in slope is 0. That means it will be a horizontal line. So from 3 to 4 we'll move in a horizontal way. And once we reach this section, what will happen, there is a concentrated load P2 acting downwards. So from point 4 we'll move by an amount of P by 2 in the downward direction. So it depends. If P by 2 is very high, the sign may go from plus to minus. So in this case it is higher than very high, so it is going into the negative below the axis. So we'll reach 0.5. And here again there is no distributed load between this section and this section, so there the Q is 0, therefore dV by dx is 0. That means the line will go shear force diagram will have a horizontal slope, okay, 0 slope. So it will go in the same horizontal line, and at this section there is P3 acting downward. So again the point will move vertically downward by an amount P3, and from here onwards it will go in a horizontal line. And once we reach here, there is RBY acting, so it will come back to this point 9. Okay, so this is one way to draw the shear force diagram. Other way is you cut the cross sections between between these two sections. You can cut a segment and analyze. Then you can cut a segment between these two lines, between these two concentrated loads. You can cut a segment between these two concentrated loads and do the analysis. Or this is another way to this movement of the reactions and the concentrated loads you can do and get the follow that directions and get the shear force diagram. So we have drawn the shear force diagram. Now what we want to draw is the bending moment diagram. So we know the relation between bending moment and shear force. What is the relation? The change in bending moment is equal to Vdx. That means between two sections, the change in bending moment diagram, change in bending moment is equal to the area under the shear force diagram. Okay, so at point A there is no bending moment acting. So at point A the bending moment is 0. And what will happen? What will happen between this section and this section? Okay, what will happen there? There is area under the shear force diagram is positive. It starts as you move to the right from this section. The bending moment will keep increasing. So the bending moment is increasing, and at this point, what is the bending moment? It will be m1, and the value of m1 will be area under this curve. So it will be Ra times Ray times this distance, which is a1. So m1 value will be Ray times a1. And then what happens? There is a drop in the shear force, and this value will be Ray minus P1, and the bending moment will not increase at the same rate now. There is a drop. The bending moment will increase at a smaller rate. So we can find this bending moment at this section m2. So that value of m2 will be area under this entire curve, this curve, and this curve. So Ray times a1 plus Ray minus P1 times this length, which is a2 minus a1. So that is what we have, Ray times a1 plus RAY minus P1 into A2 minus A1. So what we can get, we can cancel out A1 term and we'll be left with RAY times A2, and we'll get minus P1 into A2 minus A1. So that is the bending moment at this location. And from here, what will happen? The shear force is below the axis, that beam axis below AB. This is a negative shear force has started coming to picture. So the area will start reducing. Okay, this term will be negative. So the bending moment will start reducing. So the maximum bending moment will occur till this point, and from this point onwards, it will keep decreasing. So the decrease is shown here. So it will keep decreasing, and from 0.6 at 0.6 it will be equal to M3, and then again the shear force is increasing in the negative sense, so the slope will be higher and the decrease will be at a faster rate, okay, between this this section and this section. So what we can calculate the value of M3. Instead of doing the calculation by calculating this area minus this area, we can just calculate this negative area and get the M3 value. So what we do is, we know MB is 0, so 0 minus M3 is equal to the area under the curve. So it is equal to RBY into B3 with a negative sign. So what will happen is minus and minus will cancel out, and M3 will be equal to RBY times B3. So RBY times B3 will be M3. Okay, so yeah. So what is happening? We are having initially a positive slope, then there is a reduction in slope because there is a reduction in shear force, and then we are having a negative slope because the shear force has become negative, and then the negative slope has increased. So again there is a change in slope at this from this point onward, and we will reach the value of 0. So at concentrated loads, change of slope occurs only at locations of concentrated loads when there are no distributed loads acting in the beam. So maximum bending moments will occur at only one of these concentrated loads. So here it is acting at maximum bending moment occurs at that M2, and that corresponds to this point. Okay, so the main take-home point is that the bending moment will occur, maximum bending moment or minimum bending moment will occur only at the locations of the concentrated loads. So you need not analyze the entire beam for finding out where the maximum bending moment is located. We can just find the section, find the points, locations of the concentrated loads, and find the bending moments there. Okay, and we can find the maximum of those bending moments. Okay, so this is the analysis for a beam subjected to concentrated loads. Okay, so